The stars had always watched Earth. For millions of years they burned in silence while the small blue planet turned slowly in the darkness. But the stars were not alone. Between them, great empires rose and fell. Species conquered and were conquered. War was the oldest language of the galaxy, and everyone spoke it well. The Velthari were masters of this language. Their empire stretched across 3,000 star systems. Their ships were beautiful and deadly, built from metals that humans had no names for. Their soldiers numbered in the billions. For 10,000 years, they had taken whatever they wanted from the galaxy. No one had ever stopped them. No one had ever tried. Emperor Krath sat on his throne made of black crystal. His advisors stood before him, their heads bowed low. On the great screen behind them, a small planet rotated slowly. It was blue and green and white. It looked peaceful. It looked weak. "This is Earth?" Krath asked. His voice was like thunder in a cave. "Yes, great Emperor," said his chief advisor. "The humans live there. They have only had space travel for 200 of their years. They are young. They are primitive." Krath leaned forward. His eyes were the color of blood, and they refused our demands. "They did, great Emperor. They said their planet is not for sale. They said their people are not for taking. They said—" The advisor paused. He seemed afraid to continue. "Speak," Krath commanded. "They said we should leave and never return." Silence filled the throne room. Then Krath began to laugh. It was not a pleasant sound. It was the laugh of someone who had never been told no. It was the laugh of someone who destroyed worlds for fun. "Prepare the fleet," Krath said. "All of it. 12,000 ships. We will teach these humans what happens when insects challenge gods." Far away on Earth, Admiral D stood in the command center of the global defense grid. He was 63 years old. His hair was gray and his face was lined with years of worry. But his eyes were sharp and his mind was sharper. The room around him was filled with screens and computers. Men and women in uniform worked at their stations. They tracked every ship, every satellite, every piece of rock that came near Earth. They had been doing this for 150 years, ever since humanity learned they were not alone. "Sir," said Lieutenant Hana. She was young, only 28, but she was the best sensor operator in the fleet. "The Velthari are moving, all of their ships. They are coming here." D nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Velthari always did this. They asked nicely once and then they took everything by force. It had worked for them 1,000 times before. "How long until they reach the border?" D asked. 14 hours, sir." D closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his wife, who was at home in Busan, probably making dinner. He thought about his grandchildren, who were too young to understand what was coming. He thought about the 8 billion people on Earth who had no idea that the greatest fleet in the galaxy was coming to enslave them. Then he opened his eyes and made a decision. "Send the warning," he said. Hana looked at him. "Sir, the standard warning." "No," D said, "the real one." Hana's face went pale. She had heard rumors about the real warning. Everyone in the defense grid had, but she had never thought she would see it used. "Yes, sir," she said, and her fingers moved across her controls. In the darkness of space between Earth and the approaching fleet, a message began to broadcast. It was sent in every language the Velthari knew. It was sent on every frequency they used. There was no way they could miss it. The message was simple. It was Admiral D's voice, calm and clear. "This is Earth. You are approaching our border. We have asked you to leave. You have refused. So now we must warn you one final time. Do not cross our border. If you cross our border, you will never return. This is not a threat. This is not a bluff. This is a fact. We do not want war. We do not want death. But we will defend our home. Turn back now. This is your only warning." On the Velthari flagship, Commander Voss heard the message. He was Krath's most trusted general, a warrior who had conquered 40 worlds with his own hands. He listened to the human's words and he smiled. "Play it again. he told his communications officer. The message played again. Voss listened carefully to every word. When it finished, he laughed. "They are brave," he said. "Stupid but brave. I almost respect them." "Should we respond, Commander?" asked his second officer. "No," Voss said. "There is nothing to say. In 14 hours we will cross their little border. In 15 hours we will be in orbit around their planet. In 16 hours they will kneel before the Emperor. Their warning means nothing." But somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice whispered a question. Why were they so confident? Why did they sound so sure? The humans had no fleet that could stop them. Their weapons were primitive. Their technology was centuries behind. So why did the human admiral sound like he had already won? Voss pushed the thought away. It did not matter. Nothing could stop the Velthari, nothing ever had. On Earth, Admiral D watched the screens. The Velthari fleet kept coming. They had not turned back. He had not expected them to. "Sir," Hana said quietly, "they did not stop." "I know," D said. "What happens now?" D looked at the young lieutenant. She was afraid. She had every right to be. The largest fleet in the galaxy was coming to destroy everything she loved. "Now," D said, "we wait. And when they cross the line, we show them why Earth has never been conquered. We show them why every species that has ever found us has learned to leave us alone. We show them the truth." "What truth, sir?" Admiral D did not answer. He just watched the screens, watched the 12,000 ships flying toward Earth like a swarm of locusts. In 13 hours, they would cross the border. And then the galaxy would learn why you should never, ever threaten Earth. The countdown had begun. Commander Hana had not slept in 20 hours. Her eyes burned from staring at the screens. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she could not look away. No one in the command center could. The Velthari fleet filled her screen like a disease. 12,000 ships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, a wall of metal and death that stretched across the darkness of space. They were beautiful in a terrible way, like a tsunami or a wildfire. 2 minutes until they reached the border, she announced. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. Admiral D stood behind her. He had not moved in hours. He had not spoken. He just watched, his old eyes fixed on the screen, waiting for something that only he understood. Around them, the command center was silent. 50 people worked at their stations, but no one spoke. No one joked. No one even whispered. They all knew what was coming. They all knew that in 2 minutes, either Earth would be saved or Earth would die. 1 minute, Hana said. On the screens, the Velthari ships kept coming. They had not slowed down. They had not changed course. They flew straight toward the invisible line that marked Earth's border, the line that humanity had drawn in space and told the galaxy never to cross. Hana thought about her mother, who lived in a small apartment in Seoul. She thought about her younger brother, who was studying to be a doctor. She thought about all the small, ordinary things that made life worth living. She wondered if she would ever see them again. 30 seconds, she said. Admiral D finally spoke. His voice was soft, almost sad. "Everyone, watch carefully. What you are about to see must never be forgotten. Tell your children, tell your grandchildren. Tell them what happens when someone threatens our home." 15 seconds. The fleet was almost there. Hana could see the lead ships clearly now, massive warships with weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. Behind them came the troop carriers, filled with soldiers ready to invade. Behind those came the slave ships, empty and waiting to be filled with humans. 10 seconds. Hana held her breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The first Velthari ship crossed the border. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. The ship kept flying forward whole and untouched. Hana felt her heart stop. Had it failed? Had the weapon not worked? Were they all going to die? Then the ship vanished. It did not explode. It did not break apart. It simply disappeared like a candle flame blown out by the wind. One moment it was there, solid and real and deadly. The next moment it was gone, leaving nothing behind. No fire, no debris. No bodies, just empty space where a warship had been. Then the second ship crossed the border. It vanished too. Then the third and the fourth and the fifth. The Velthari fleet kept coming, kept crossing the line and kept disappearing. Ship after ship after ship, blinking out of existence like stars dying in fast forward. The commanders in the back tried to stop, tried to turn, but the ships behind them pushed forward and they crossed the line too. In less than 3 minutes, 12,000 ships were gone. The screen showed nothing but empty space. Hana stared at her display. Her mouth was open. Her hands had stopped shaking because her whole body had gone numb. She had just watched the most powerful fleet in the galaxy disappear without a trace. She had just watched millions of Velthari soldiers vanish from existence. "What?" she whispered. "What did we do to them?" Admiral D put a hand on her shoulder. His face was tired and there was no joy in his eyes, only a deep, heavy sadness. "We saved our planet," he said. "That is all that matters." "But where did they go? Are they dead?" D did not answer that question. He turned to the rest of the command center. Everyone was staring at him, waiting for an explanation that he could not give. "This information is classified," he said. "The highest level, you will not speak of what you saw here today. You will not write about it. You will not tell your families. If anyone asks, you will say that the Velthari fleet retreated. Do you understand?" 50 voices answered as one, "Yes, sir." But Hana could see it in their eyes. They would never forget this moment. They would carry it with them forever, the memory of 12,000 ships disappearing like ghosts. Far away, in the Velthari Empire, Emperor Krath waited for news. His throne room was filled with advisors and generals, all of them eager to hear about the conquest of Earth. They expected reports of victory. They expected images of humans kneeling in chains. Instead, they got silence. "What is happening?" Krath demanded. "Why has Commander Voss not reported?" His communications officer worked frantically at his station. His face was pale with fear. "I cannot reach the fleet, Great Emperor. None of the ships are responding. Their signals have stopped." "Stopped? What do you mean, stopped?" "They are gone, Great Emperor, all of them. The entire fleet has disappeared." Krath rose from his throne. His massive body cast a shadow across the room. "That is impossible. 12,000 ships do not just disappear." "I know, Great Emperor, but they have. One moment they were approaching Earth and the next moment, nothing. No signals, no wreckage, no life signs. They are simply gone." The throne room fell silent. No one knew what to say. No one knew what to think. The Velthari had never lost a fleet. They had never lost a single battle. And now their entire invasion force had vanished without a trace. "Send scouts," Krath ordered. His voice was shaking with rage. "Send them to Earth's border, find out what happened." The scouts were sent. 3 small ships, fast and hard to detect. They flew to the edge of Earth's space and stopped just before the border. Their sensors scanned everything. They found no debris. They found no bodies. They found no sign that 12,000 ships had ever existed. It was as if the fleet had never been there at all. The scouts reported back to Krath. He listened in silence, his red eyes burning with a fury that no one had ever seen before. When they finished, he spoke one word. "How?" No one could answer. On Earth, the news spread slowly. The government said nothing about the Velthari fleet. They said nothing about the border or the disappearance. They simply announced that Earth was safe, that the threat had passed, and that everyone should continue their normal lives. But rumors spread anyway. Soldiers talked to their families. Officers whispered to their friends. Within days, everyone knew that something had happened, something incredible, something terrifying. The aliens had come to conquer Earth, and Earth had made them disappear. People celebrated in the streets. They cheered and cried and hugged each other. For the first time in 200 years, humanity felt truly safe. They did not know how they had been saved. They did not know what weapon had protected them. But they knew one thing for certain. Earth was not weak. Earth was not primitive. Earth was something else entirely. And somewhere in the darkness of space, 12,000 ships drifted in a place that had no name. Their crews were alive but lost, scattered across dimensions that humans had learned to open but never to close. They would spend eternity searching for a way home that did not exist. This was Earth's secret. This was Earth's warning. And this was only the beginning. Captain Wu had served in the Earth Defense Force for 15 years. He had seen things that most humans never would. He had traveled to distant stars. He had met alien species that looked like nightmares. He had fought in small battles that the public never heard about. But he had never seen anything like this. He stood on the bridge of his ship, the S Dawn, looking at the empty space where 12,000 Velthari warships had been. His crew worked silently around him, running scans and checking instruments. They found nothing, absolutely nothing. "Run the scan again," Wu ordered. "Sir, we have run it 12 times," said his science officer, a young woman named Sue. "The results are always the same. There is no debris, no radiation, no energy signatures, nothing to show that any ships were ever here." "That is impossible," Wu said, but he knew it was not impossible. He had seen it happen. He had watched the recordings from the command center. He had seen ships vanish like smoke in the wind. His orders were simple. Find out what happened to the Velthari fleet. Gather evidence. Report back to Earth Command. But how could he investigate something that had left no evidence at all? "Captain," said his communications officer, "a man named Jun, we are receiving a message. It is from the Galactic Council." Wu felt his stomach tighten. The Galactic Council was the closest thing the galaxy had to a government. It was made up of the 12 most powerful species, and it made the rules that everyone followed. Or at least, the rules that everyone pretended to follow. "Put it through," Wu said. The screen flickered and a face appeared. It was not human. It had blue skin and large black eyes and no mouth that Wu could see. This was Ambassador Thel, the representative of the Aldari, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. "Captain Wu," Thel said. His voice came from somewhere inside his body, vibrating through his skin. "The Galactic Council demands an explanation. What has happened to the Velthari fleet?" Wu had been trained for moments like this. He kept his face calm and his voice steady. "Ambassador, the Velthari attempted to invade Earth. They ignored our warnings. They crossed our border. And then they disappeared." "Disappeared?" Thel's black eyes seemed to grow larger. 12,000 warships do not simply disappear. You must have done something to them." "We defended our planet," Wu said. "That is all I can tell you." "That is not enough. The Velthari are demanding answers. They are demanding justice. They say you have committed an act of war." Wu almost laughed. Almost. "Ambassador, the Velthari sent 12,000 warships to enslave our people. They committed the act of war. We simply responded." "With what weapon? What technology could make an entire fleet vanish?" "I am not authorized to discuss that." Thel's face changed. It was hard to read alien expressions, but Wu thought he saw something like fear. "Captain, you must understand. The galaxy is watching. Every species, every empire, every civilization wants to know what happened. If you do not explain, they will assume the worst." "Let them assume what they want," Wu said. "Earth will not apologize for defending itself, and we will not reveal our secrets to anyone." The communication ended. Wu stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by the silence of space. He knew that his words would spread across the galaxy. He knew that every alien species would hear them, and he knew that everything was about to change. In the weeks that followed, Earth became the center of galactic attention. Ships from a dozen different species came to investigate. They scanned the border. They searched for clues. They found nothing. The Velthari sent diplomats demanding answers. Earth's response was always the same. They were warned. They did not listen. They are gone. Other species began to ask questions too. The Aldari wanted to know if Earth's weapon could be used against them. The Krell wanted to know if they could buy it. The Sistari wanted to know if it was a threat to galactic peace. Captain Wu attended meeting after meeting, explaining nothing and apologizing for nothing. He became the face of Earth's mystery, the man who knew the truth but would not speak it. "You must tell us something," demanded High Lord Keth of the Velthari. He was a smaller version of Emperor Krath, his nephew and heir. "Our people are dead. Millions of our soldiers are gone. You cannot just say nothing." "They are not dead," Wu said quietly. Keth froze. "What?" "I said they are not dead. At least we do not think they are." "Then where are they?" Wu looked at the alien lord. He saw anger and fear and desperation in those red eyes. He almost felt sorry for him. Almost. "They are somewhere else," Wu said. "That is all I can tell you." "Somewhere else, what does that mean?" "It means exactly what it sounds like. They are not in this place anymore. They are somewhere else, somewhere they can never return from." Keth stared at him for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice that was barely a whisper. "You sent them to another dimension." Wu said nothing. His silence was answer enough. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Earth had a weapon that could send entire fleets to other dimensions. Earth could remove any enemy from existence without killing them. Earth had technology that no other species had ever dreamed of. And Earth was not sharing. Some species reacted with fear. They pulled their ships back from Earth's borders. They stopped sending scouts and spies. They treated Earth like a sleeping dragon that should never be disturbed. Other species reacted with greed. They sent ambassadors offering trade deals and alliances. They wanted Earth's technology. They wanted Earth's protection. They were willing to pay any price. But most species reacted with respect. For the first time in galactic history, Earth was not seen as a primitive backwater. Earth was seen as a power, a real power, a power that could defend itself against the greatest fleet in the galaxy and win. Captain Wu returned to Earth after 6 months of diplomatic meetings. He was tired and homesick and ready for a rest. But when his ship landed in Seoul, he found Admiral D waiting for him. "Good work, Captain," D said. "You handled yourself well." "I did not do anything," Wu said. "I just told them the truth, or at least part of it." "Sometimes that is enough." D handed him a folder. "New orders. You are being promoted to Commodore. You will command the First Fleet." Wu took the folder but did not open it. "Sir, may I ask you something?" "Of course." "The Velthari fleet. Where did we really send them?" D was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice that only Wu could hear. "We sent them everywhere and nowhere. We scattered them across infinite realities, infinite dimensions, infinite possibilities. Each ship ended up in a different place. They will never find each other. They will never find their way home. They will drift forever in the spaces between worlds." Wu felt a chill run down his spine. "That seems cruel." "Perhaps," D said, "but they came to enslave us. They came to take our children and our future. We gave them a chance to leave. They did not take it." He paused. "War is cruel, Commodore. We just found a way to be cruel without killing." Wu nodded slowly. He understood. He did not like it, but he understood. Earth had sent a message to the galaxy. "Do not threaten us. Do not attack us. Do not cross our borders, or you will disappear." And the galaxy was finally listening. Deep beneath the city of Seoul, in a place that did not officially exist, General Yuna walked through corridors made of steel and secrets. She was 54 years old. with silver streaks in her black hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. She had spent her entire adult life protecting Earth from threats that most people could not imagine. And now she was going to show a stranger the biggest secret of all. The man walking beside her was Ambassador Kim, newly appointed to represent Earth at the Galactic Council. He was younger than Yuna, maybe 40, with a nervous energy that she found slightly annoying. But he had been chosen for this role because he was smart and careful and good with words, and because he could keep secrets. "I still do not understand why I need to see this," Kim said. "I am a diplomat, not a soldier." "You need to see this because you need to understand," Yuna said. "When you speak for Earth, you need to know what you are speaking about. You need to know what we can do, and what we will do." They reached a massive door made of metal that was darker than night. Yuna pressed her hand against a panel, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. Beyond it was a room that seemed too large to fit underground. It stretched into the distance, filled with machines and computers and screens that showed images from other worlds. In the center of the room was a hole. Not a hole in the floor, but a hole in reality itself. It hung in the air like a wound, a circle of darkness that seemed to swallow light. Around it, scientists in white coats monitored instruments and adjusted controls. "This is the rift," Yuna said. "This is how we saved Earth." Kim stared at the hole with wide eyes. He could feel something coming from it, a kind of pressure that made his ears pop and his skin tingle. "What is it?" "A doorway, a door to everywhere and nowhere. We discovered it by accident 70 years ago when we were experimenting with faster-than-light travel. We opened a crack in space and we saw what was on the other side." Yuna paused. Or rather, what was not on the other side. "I do not understand." Yuna gestured to one of the scientists, a young man named Bo. He walked over with a tablet in his hands, looking nervous but proud. "The universe is not alone," Bo explained. "There are infinite universes, infinite dimensions stacked on top of each other like pages in a book. Most of them are empty. No stars, no planets, no life. Just endless darkness stretching forever." "And this rift leads to those empty places?" Kim asked. "It can lead anywhere," Bo said. "We learned to control it. We learned to aim it. When the Velthari fleet crossed our border, we opened 12,000 tiny rifts, one for each ship. Each rift led to a different empty dimension, and the ships fell through." Kim felt sick. They are trapped in empty universes forever. "Yes," Yuna said. "They have air and power. Their ships are still functional, but there is nowhere to go, nothing to find. They will live out their lives in absolute isolation, surrounded by nothing. That is worse than death." "Perhaps, but it is also a choice. They chose to invade us. They chose to ignore our warnings. They chose their fate." Kim was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the rift, at the darkness that seemed to breathe and pulse like a living thing. "How many people know about this?" "Very few, the scientists who work here, the military commanders who oversee our defense, and now certain diplomats who need to understand what they are protecting." Yuna turned to face him. "You cannot tell anyone about this, Ambassador. Not the Galactic Council, not our allies, not your family. This secret is the only thing keeping Earth safe." "But how?" Kim asked. "The galaxy knows we have some kind of weapon. They know we made the fleet disappear. How is it still a secret?" "They know we have power. They do not know how our power works, and that is what keeps them afraid." Yuna smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Fear of the unknown is more powerful than fear of the known. As long as they do not understand our weapon, they will not try to counter it. They will not try to test it. They will simply stay away. Bo cleared his throat. "There is something else you should see, Ambassador." He led them to a wall of screens. Each screen showed a different image, a different place. Kim saw alien worlds with purple skis. He saw space stations orbiting dying stars. He saw ships traveling through the darkness. "We have scouts in other dimensions," Bo said. "Not the empty ones, the ones with life. We have been watching other realities for decades, learning, studying, preparing. Preparing for what? For anything. Una stepped closer to the screens. We learned something from the Velthari invasion ambassador. We learned that the galaxy is dangerous. We learned that there will always be someone bigger and stronger who wants to take what we have. So we needed an advantage, something no one else has. And this is it, dimensional travel. This is part of it, but there is more. She pointed to one of the screens. It showed a planet that looked like Earth but wrong somehow. The continents were in different places. The oceans were the wrong color. This is Earth. But not our Earth. This is an Earth from another dimension, an Earth where humans never existed. Kim frowned. Why does that matter? Because we can use it. We have already started building colonies there. Secret colonies, hidden from the galaxy. If Earth is ever truly threatened, if our dimension becomes unsafe, we can evacuate. 8 billion people move to a new Earth in a new dimension. We would survive. We would continue. Kim felt his head spinning. This was too much, too big, too impossible. You are talking about abandoning our entire universe. I am talking about survival, Una said. That is what we do, Ambassador. That is what humans have always done. We survive, we adapt, we find a way. They stood in silence for a while, watching the screens, watching the rift, watching the future being built in secret beneath their feet. Finally, Kim spoke. What do you need from me? We need you to keep the galaxy at bay. We need you to talk and negotiate and delay. Buy us time to finish our preparations. Buy us time to make Earth truly safe. How long? Years, maybe decades. We are building something here, Ambassador. Something that will protect humanity forever. But we are not ready yet. Until we are, you must keep the aliens talking instead of fighting. Kim nodded slowly. He understood now. He understood why he had been chosen for this role. Not because he was good with words, but because he could keep secrets. Because he could lie to the most powerful beings in the galaxy and smile while doing it. I will do it, he said. I will buy you time. Una put a hand on his shoulder. Thank you, Ambassador. Earth is counting on you. They walked back through the corridors, back toward the surface, back toward a world that had no idea what was hidden beneath it. Kim thought about the Velthari floating alone in empty dimensions. He thought about the colonists building new lives on a copy of Earth. He thought about the rift, a doorway to infinity. Humanity was small, humanity was young, but humanity was clever. And humanity was preparing for a future that the galaxy could not imagine. 10 years had passed since the Velthari fleet disappeared. 10 years of whispers and rumors and fear. 10 years of change. Ambassador T stood before the Galactic Council, looking at the faces of the 12 most powerful beings in the known universe. Some were beautiful by human standards. Some were terrifying. Some were so strange that his mind struggled to understand what he was seeing. But all of them were watching him with the same expression. Respect. It had taken Earth a long time to earn a seat on this council. For centuries, humanity had been ignored, dismissed as primitives playing with technology they barely understood. The other species had treated Earth like a child, sometimes with kindness and sometimes with cruelty, but always with the knowledge that they were superior. That had changed. The Council recognizes Ambassador T of Earth, said the speaker, a being made of light and energy who had existed for longer than human civilization. You may address the assembly. T stepped forward. He was 60 years old now, with gray hair and a calm face that revealed nothing. He had spent the last decade negotiating, arguing, and slowly building Earth's reputation among the stars. And today, he was about to finish what Admiral D had started 10 years ago. Thank you, Speaker, T said. I come before this council with a simple message, a message that I hope will bring peace to the galaxy for generations to come. He paused, letting the silence build. Every eye, every sensor, every attention in the room was focused on him. For too long, the galaxy has operated on one principle: the strong take from the weak. Empires rise by conquering others. Species survive by dominating others. This has been the way of things for millions of years. Some of the council members nodded, others shifted uncomfortably. They all knew this was true. But Earth offers a different way. We do not want to conquer, we do not want to dominate, we only want one thing. T looked around the room, meeting each gaze in turn. Respect. High Lord Keth of the Velthari made a sound that might have been a laugh. Respect. You destroyed our fleet. You erased millions of our people from existence, and you ask for respect. I ask for what we have earned, T said calmly. Your fleet came to enslave us. They ignored our warnings. They paid the price. That was not aggression. That was defense, and it is a defense we will use again if necessary. Is that a threat, Ambassador? No, High Lord, it is a promise. T turned back to the full council. Earth does not want war, we never have, but we will not be conquered, we will not be enslaved, we will not be pushed aside. Any species that respects our borders will find us to be good neighbors, good trading partners, good friends. He paused. Any species that does not respect our borders will disappear, just like your fleet. The council chamber was completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. The weight of T's words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Finally, Ambassador Thel of the Aldari spoke. His voice was soft, almost gentle. Ambassador T, the Council has discussed Earth's capabilities at length. We have reached certain conclusions. And what are those conclusions? That Earth is no longer a minor species. That Earth deserves a voice in galactic affairs. That Earth should be treated as an equal. T felt his heart beating faster, but he kept his face calm. And what does that mean exactly? Thel looked around at the other council members. Some nodded, others simply watched. It means that the Galactic Council formally recognizes Earth as a major power. It means that Earth's borders are to be respected by all species, with the full backing of Council law. It means that any attack on Earth will be considered an attack on galactic order itself. For a moment, T could not speak. This was more than he had hoped for, more than any Earth diplomat had ever achieved. In one sentence, Thel had made Earth untouchable. We accept, T said, and we thank the Council for its wisdom. Keth rose from his seat. His red eyes were burning with barely controlled rage. This is madness. You are rewarding them for destroying our fleet. You are telling the galaxy that weapons of terror are acceptable. We are telling the galaxy that the age of conquest is over, Thel replied. Earth has shown us what happens when species push too far. Perhaps it is time for all of us to learn that lesson. Keth stormed out of the chamber. His aides followed, their faces dark with anger, but no one else moved. No one else protested. The vote had been made. The decision was final. Earth was now a protected power. That night, T stood on the observation deck of the council station, looking out at the stars. His aide, a young woman named Mina, stood beside him. You did it, she said softly. You actually did it. We all did it, T replied. Admiral D, who sent the warning, Commander Hana, who watched the fleet disappear, Captain Wu, who kept our secrets, General Yuna, who built our defenses, Ambassador Kim, who bought us time. They all did their part. I just finished what they started. Do you think the Velthari will accept this? Do you think they will stop hating us? T was quiet for a moment. No, they will hate us for a long time, maybe forever, but hate without power is just noise. They cannot touch us. They cannot threaten us. And eventually, even hate fades. And the other species, do you think they trust us? They do not need to trust us. They only need to respect us. They need to know that Earth keeps its promises, that we do not start fights but we finish them, that we protect what is ours. T smiled slightly. Trust can come later. Respect is enough for now. On Earth, the news spread quickly. Celebrations erupted in every city on every continent. People who had lived their whole lives under the shadow of alien threats finally felt safe, finally felt equal, finally felt proud. In Seoul, Admiral D watched the celebrations from his hospital bed. He was 90 years old now, his body failing but his mind still sharp. Beside him sat Hana, no longer a young lieutenant but a commander in her own right. "We did it, sir," she said. "Earth is safe." D smiled weakly. "For now, the galaxy is always changing. There will be new threats, new enemies, new challenges. But we will face them. We always do. Yes, that is what humans do. We face things, we fight things, we survive things." He reached out and took her hand. "Promise me something, Hana. Promise me you will always remember what we built here. Not the weapon, not the rift, but the principle." "What principle?" "That we do not have to be the strongest to survive. We do not have to be the biggest. We only have to be clever enough and brave enough to defend what we love." He closed his eyes. "That is what makes us human. That is what makes us special." Hana squeezed his hand. "I promise, sir, I will never forget." Outside the window, fireworks painted the sky in colors of gold and red and blue. Children laughed and played in the streets. Parents held each other and cried with joy. Soldiers and scientists and diplomats celebrated together, united by a victory that had been a decade in the making. Earth had sent a message to the stars, not with words but with actions, not with threats but with truth. Respect our borders, honor our peace, or face the consequences. The galaxy had finally learned to listen, and somewhere in the infinite darkness between dimensions, 12,000 ships drifted in silence, eternal reminders of what happened when someone crossed Earth's line. This was the new order. This was humanity's place among the stars. And this was only the beginning.